When you think about the fall of Rome, most people imagine similar things: barbarian attacks on the city, defeats of the legions, or palace intrigues. However, the truth is that empires usually collapse not because of external threats, but because of internal decay. One of the most important causes of this decay is often the monetary system. Rome did not collapse only because of wars. The collapse of its monetary system also led to its downfall. The lessons from this story still remain relevant today. Now let's take a step back. For centuries, the Roman economy relied on a silver coin called the denarius. This coin was made almost entirely of pure silver, and people trusted it. Soldiers received their salaries in denarius. Merchants preferred it when conducting trade. The public stored their savings in this coin. For this reason, the denarius was not only a means of payment, it was also a symbol of trust in Rome. However, managing a large empire is quite costly. Feeding the army, building roads, financing wars. By the time we reach the following centuries, Rome's expenses had increased significantly. Taxes were no longer enough, and the emperors began searching for an easy solution. Instead of increasing taxes, they decided to reduce the amount of silver inside the coins. So the coin looked the same from the outside, but its value was actually decreasing. During the reign of Augustus, the denarius contained about 95% silver, but by the 3rd century, this rate had fallen to below 5%. A coin that had once been almost pure silver had now become nothing more than a piece of metal coated with silver. Of course, people noticed this. So what happened next? Inflation erupted. Prices rose rapidly. A product that once cost 1 denarius suddenly cost 10 or 20 denarii. Soldiers demanded higher wages. Merchants began refusing the debased coins. In some regions, people even returned to barter trade. As money lost its credibility, emperors started minting even more coins. But instead of solving the problem, this only made it worse. It had truly become a vicious cycle. In the 3rd century, Rome entered a massive crisis. For nearly 50 years, chaos dominated the empire. Invasions, plagues, civil wars. Emperors changed rapidly, some ruling for only a few months. But behind all this political chaos was actually a broken economy. The government tried to control prices. Emperor Diocletian introduced a regulation that set maximum prices for many goods. But these efforts failed, because it is impossible to control prices with a currency that has lost its value. The black market expanded, and trade slowed dramatically. Eventually, Rome was forced to abandon the denarius completely. Emperor Constantine later introduced a gold coin called the solidus. For a while, this helped stabilize the situation, but for the Western Roman Empire, it was already too late. The economy had already collapsed, the army had weakened, trade networks had fragmented, and most importantly, the people had lost trust in the state. The fall of Rome was not the result of a single event. It was a long process of gradual unraveling, and the collapse of the monetary system was one of the most important parts of this process. So what does this mean for today? The message is actually very simple. When money collapses, empires begin to collapse as well. Rome believed it could deceive its people by devaluing its currency. Today, some governments follow similar paths, printing money, increasing debt, and creating loss of value through inflation. But the result is often the same. The people pay the price. Rome learned this lesson the hard way, and history reminds us of one thing. Financial systems usually deteriorate quietly, and then suddenly collapse. When money loses credibility, society itself begins to unravel. Trade stops, contracts lose their meaning, the state loses its authority. The barbarians waiting at the gates may deliver the final blow, but the real collapse usually begins in the treasury of the state. And there is one more important point. History never repeats itself exactly. But if you fail to understand it, you may experience the same problems again and again. Rome's financial crisis teaches us something important. A monetary system is extremely fragile when power is abused, and this reality still remains true today.